Thanks everybody for joining us. In a year that's taken more than it's given, the Junkyard is sad to announce the passing of Mr. John Huber, known as Mr. Brodie Lee, to the AEW faithful, and Mr. Luke Harper to the WWE fan base. To kind of share a little bit more of our feelings, DDJ, take it away.
Thank you. God, and I know I'm sure I can speak on behalf of both of you guys when I say that we definitely weren't prepared to start out this way. Shortly before we began recording this episode of The Junkyard, we, along with the entire wrestling world, were rocked by the news that John Huber, also known as Mr. Brodie Lee and formerly known as Luke Harper, had passed away at the very young age of 41. John Huber was a talented individual who was the exalted one of the Junkyard's favorite faction, the Dark Order. John Huber was a big man, but he definitely did not wrestle like one, and he was also part of the Wyatt family, which was a group unlike any other. John Huber will never truly realize how much that he meant to me personally, and that begs the question, well, how much did he mean to you, DDJ? Well, a few months ago, I was really in a not-so-good place. It was my 40th birthday. COVID had really just started its stranglehold on our country and had ruined my plans to celebrate turning 40 with my friends. It was also the first birthday that I had celebrated since my father had passed away. And some very good friends of mine chipped in and got Brodie Lee to do a cameo where he showed me his two dogs and said some very kind and encouraging words that helped me in ways that unfortunately he'll never know. Before I throw it over to my friend Spencer here, I'm going to ask everyone listening to this on, wherever you get your podcast from and who are watching this on YouTube to do a couple of things. One, don't take life for granted because tomorrow is never guaranteed. And two, make sure you end every interaction with a friend or a loved one on a good note because it might just be the last time you get to see or talk to that person. And now I'm going to throw it over to my very good friend Spencer to share a few words.
Okay. Thank you, DDJ. Thank you, Jovan. We are all rocked by this tonight. We're recording on Saturday night when we found out that John Huber, a.k.a. Mr. Brodie Lee, a.k.a. Luke Harper, had passed away. It is shaking the wrestling world to its core. People from AEW, WWE, every promotion are coming out saying nothing but great things about this man. This one really hurts. Like, we've had some deaths this year, and they've impacted all of us in a different way, but this is the one in this year 2020 that is really impacting me a lot for sure. As you guys know, my nickname is number 11. I've been a huge fan of Dark Order. I've been all on the train with Brodie Lee and his character development, and then I was so sad when he had lost the title, but now after all this happened, it makes so much sense, and it's just so heartbreaking that we even have to do this right before it's supposed to be our awards episode of the Junkyard. And we're still going to give you our top-notch quality episode you guys come to expect. In this moment, we can't be sad. We need to celebrate his life. I think he didn't know us personally. He was going to be one of our guests on the virtual markout, but because of like some health-related issues and some other things, we weren't able to have him on the show. And I think it would have been really great for us to talk to him. But unfortunately, that didn't work out. But I think we're dedicating this episode to Mr. John Huber, his family, his friends, everybody. This is really hard to do, but again, we're doing this in the memory of John Huber, aka Mr. Brodie Lee. So right before we get started, I'd like to take a drink. Everybody, grab your glass. Take a chug to John Huber, to the legacy, the memory of this man.
To John.
To John. All right. Before we get started on the episode, we're going to take a brief pause here and do a 10-bell salute to the memory of John Huber.
Hey, this is Tamatonga, Bullet Club original OG triple OG triple.
What's up? It's CVV, Chris Van Vliet, and you are listening to The Junkyard.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 9 of The Junkyard, The Junkies. I am your host, Spencer Cantor, also known as number 11. Join the Dark Order.
Join the Dark Order.
Absolutely. Now more than ever.
Yes.
Gentlemen, please introduce yourself to these wonderful people.
Well, if you don't already know who we are by now, that's your problem, not ours. but for those of you who have been living under a rock and don't know who I am, my name is Dennis Day Jr., otherwise known as DDJ, the host of What Do You Say with DDJ that drops every Monday at 12 a.m.
Cheap pop.
Well, I got to give the people what they want.
You've got to give the people, well, fellas, you know what the people want? This is a dang award show. Hold on.
That's right.
And what the people wanted, gentlemen, is us to class up the joint of the junkyard for the junkies. And for those of you who do not know, I once again am El Guapo, Jovanni too Hotty.
Man, you really are hot tonight, man.
We had to give them what they want, brother.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So,
all right. So, welcome to the Junkies, the 2020 Junkies. This might become a tradition. We'll see how it goes on this inaugural episode of the Junkies. Let's just get into it, gentlemen. Our first category is BTE Moment, being the elite moment of the year. The elite. The elite.
Yes.
All right. Jovan, since you snapped us into better clothes, let's start out with you. What's your moment of the year of the BTE?
Well, BTE Moment for me comes from the Dark Order.
Of course.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts that the Dark Order has taken over, and it is being the Dark Order lately. But my skit of the year goes to the Thanksgiving episode of Being the Elite.
oh, nice.
Where Johnny Hungy has food, and he's trying to ask, Anna, that whole part there, Anna, want a bite? Anna. That's my BTE Moment of the year.
Yeah.
All right. For me, it partially involves the Dark Order, but it's not fully Dark Order.
Okay.
My pick for BTE Moment of the year was a little tournament that was run over the span of a couple weeks to determine the first BTE champion.
Nice.
And that was the Gator Golf Tournament. I mean, never in my life have I watched something that made me desperately want a kids game as I saw with this.
Right.
They took something that they basically spun this into gold. And I mean, every week it just, you could tell these guys were having so much fun. They were, and it was interesting. You know, the courses they set up for each week, and it just provided for some entertainment. And this year, in this COVID-stricken 2020, I will take as much entertainment value as I can possibly get. And to me, there wasn't anything more entertaining this year on BTE than the Gator Golf Tournament to crown the first ever BTE champion.
Nice.
Yeah. That Gator Golf Tournament was great. And then crowning the first BTE champion, Trent, now held by Johnny Hungy, join the Dark Order. My moment, and I'm probably doing a little bit of a cop-out here, but I'm going to give it to the entire Dark Order. Just everything they have done on BTE has been gold. They've reinvented themselves on TV, but BTE has helped them get over so much with the fans. Like last year, Dark Order, like they had the horrible punches and everything. It was like, okay, basically dead in the water. And then we finally had, bunch of stuff happening on TV, and then BTE is really where they shine and helped them get over. We got Johnny Hungy, we got Anna, we got Anna J terrorizing Stu Grayson. We got 5 with his hair. We got 10 on the coke. Mr. Brodie Lee with the papers. I mean, it was all so good. Like, so I'm gonna give it to being the Dark Order. It's not even being the Elite anymore. It's being the Dark Order.
Yes.
Well,
So, all right. Our next category, gentlemen, merch of the year. Dennis, I'm going to lead off with you on this one.
all right. Well, for those of you who tuned into our episode last week, you saw all the different types of merch that we personally own and that we talked about. For me, there's one piece of merch that came out this year that really stood above the rest. And for those of you that know me know I'm a huge t-shirt guy. So no surprise that my merch of the year is a t-shirt. And I'm going with the shirt that basically has a picture of the AEW championship on the front and center. And on top it says, and new. That being the Kenny Omega new AEW World Champion shirt that was launched shortly after AEW Dynamite Winners coming when Kenny Omega won the AEW Heavyweight Championship. Honestly, I think that is the best wrestling t-shirt that has come out this year. Having gotten one from a very good friend of mine as a Christmas present, it's just the colors pop unlike anything else that I own, and it's just a really cool design. And just for that alone, the Kenny Omega and new AEW champion shirt gets my vote for merch of the year.
All right.
Before I give mine, I want to give an honorable mention to one piece of merch that just dropped not too long ago that had me in stitches and in tears and actually made me want to buy a WWE shirt for the first time in a very, very long time. So honorable mention goes to Sami Zayn stick figure shirt.
Oh, that's a good one.
But for me, merch of the year has to be something that breaks the internet. And this shirt broke PWT's Pro Wrestling Tees, not the Junkies, but the Pro Wrestling Tees, 24-hour sell record. And that shirt, of course, is Sting.
Yep.
Nice.
Stinger.
Well, honestly, I am shocked, Dennis, you didn't say what Jovan said, because that's my pick as well. I have to go with Sting's first AEW shirt. Actually, I'll go ahead and put all the merchandise he dropped at his release, his hoodie, his hat, but it is mainly the shirt. That thing set a PWT's record for most shirts sold in 24 hours. I believe it beat the cease and desist shirt.
Yes.
Yep. So...
And the thing was with that shirt, and that for the record, that was my honorable mention and stuff. But I believe that the record was broken. I think it was something like 8 hours after. It wasn't even like a full 20. Like so obviously the record was shattered. So
right.
It goes to show you, and that. So, but carry on, Spencer. Sorry to cut you off.
No, it's all good, man. But I think with that stat, clearly that has to be the merch of the year, the shirt of the year. The Kenny Omega one is great, and I think we will definitely get into that the moment more later on in the awards ceremony. But the shirt, the Sting one, I knew once I saw it. I think when all the wrestling fans saw it, it was like, that's an insta buy. And when something is an insta buy and it creates that much demand and that much need for that, merch of the year, hands down.
Yes.
Real quick on that, I don't know what the final. Like, I'd be interested to see how many that they sold within 24 hours. But I heard, I'm not going to disclose who my sources are because I don't even really remember who told me this. But I heard something along the lines. It was like in the 3,000s.
Damn.
That so.
All right. We will move on to our next category, and that is figure of the year. All right, I'll leave this one off this time. Okay. So there have been a lot of good figures this year. But again, I'm going to go kind of with a cop-out here, and I have to go with the entire AEW Unrivaled Collection line. This is the first time we got a major wrestling line since like the WWE Elites, something to combat that. And, we've had some distribution issues with the first wave. We're finally getting the second wave. We just recently had the third wave released, and like a lot of exclusives and everything. They are killing it right now. Jazzwares and Jeremy Padower and everybody involved. They're listening to the fans. I think these could easily be figures of a year for many years to come. They're great. I highly recommend, if you can find them in your Walmart, get them.
Oh, I still have yet to see any figure in the wild, so.
I found the whole first run today.
All right, nice. All right, Jovan, what's your figure of the year?
I was going to take a cop out like number 11 did and take the whole series. But I got to thinking about it, gentlemen, and I said, you know what? That's not going to be right. I can't take a cop out because I know somebody was going to do it. So, for me, figure of the year is very easy. I said, Brandy, you's a fine girl.
What a good wife she would be.
What a good wife she would be. My figure of the year is the hardest to find. That is not a chase figure. And that is one Brandy Rhodes, Undisputed Series 1.
Oh, I still need her.
Wow.
Dennis.
All right. So, obviously, since I have yet to see an AEW figure in the wild, I'm not going that route.
All right.
Oh.
So, I'm actually going to go in a little bit of an, I don't know, maybe, I don't think I would consider it unconventional. You may, or fans may, whatever. But I'm going to go with a little something that's a little bit more near and dear to my heart. And if you're watching this on YouTube and you see what's behind me, you probably might get an idea of where I'm going with this. My pick for figure of the year is a figure of someone who hasn't had an action figure released in over 20 years. My figure of the year is a certain little thing known as a micro brawler, and that is the Owen Hart micro brawler.
Yes.
This one here is the one that I got. I'm anxious to let it breathe very soon.
No,
but,
I'm so happy it's still in the box. I really am.
Yeah, well, I kept it in the box. I did it for you.
Not the Rock.
Not the Rock or not the people. I did it for you, Jovanni, just for you.
Did it for a Guapo too, Hotty.
but no, I just think, we've, as wrestling fans, we've been craving, ways to kind of show our support for Owen Hart, who meant a lot to many of us. And we, this year we've gotten, some T-shirts, we've got, hats and stuff. So we're starting to see some Owen Hart merch come out as, thanks to the collaborative efforts of Pro Wrestling Tees and the Owen Hart Foundation, most notably, Owen's wife, Martha, and his two kids. So, yeah, for me, that was actually a slam dunk. It was the Owen Hart micro brawler gets my pick for figure of the year.
Shout out to Dark Side of the Ring as well for bringing Owen back out, man, to the masses.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Great pick, DDJ.
Thank you.
I think if the Sting shirt didn't come out, if that Kenny Omega shirt didn't come out, I think Owen Hart could have possibly been merch of the year, because that was definitely a big thing that happened this year too. So I would definitely glad you shouted that one out for sure.
Yes.
All right. Next category up in the Junkies, and that is Debutt of the year.
Debutt.
Mr. Jovanni Too Hotty, lead us off on this one.
My debut comes with history and family and pride. My debut is an actual rookie making his first appearance in a major corporation. I am going with one Dominic Mysterio for debut of the year.
Yes.
All right.
Dennis, who you got for your debut?
Dominic is a great choice, and a little bit of a tease. You may hear me mention his name a little bit later on in this show.
Ooh.
But I'm going to go with someone who I think when either we had already started this podcast or we were doing our test runs, we had We're talking about a specific person who came from outside the world of professional wrestling and had what many people, including myself, were saying was the single greatest debut match in history. And that even taking over, even unseating Ronda Rousey's debut at WrestleMania, whatever. I'm going with my debut of the year, and yes, it is debut, not debut.
Debut.
I'm going with former Indianapolis Colt puncher and radio podcast personality. I'm going with Pat McAfee for his match against Adam Cole at TakeOver 30. I mean, some of the things that he pulled out, you can clearly tell he appreciates the business, he respects the business, and he put in the work. So my pick for debut of the year is Pat McAfee.
Nice.
All right. That's definitely a good debut. Also, I haven't even seen that match yet, so I need to get around to seeing that.
Dude, you totally need to see
I
that.
have to watch it.
I still haven't even seen the War Games match either. But I know. I'm just
what do you do with your free time?
Work like a slave. But so my debut of the year is, yes, Pat McAfee is a good one, but I'm going to go with Jovan on this one. I got to go with Dominic Mysterio when he faced off against Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. That showed me that kid is going to have a bright future, and they put him in this major storyline with Seth Rollins and his dad and everything. That showed that the WWE had a lot of faith. And there was a few hiccups in the match, of course, because he is a rookie and he's still figuring out everything. But he's debuting with the biggest company in the world. I mean, there's stuff everybody says about them, but yes, they are the biggest pro wrestling company in the world. And having that opportunity and getting put in like a big major storyline just proves how much the company has behind you. And he did deliver. He had a few matches after that. He's still fighting his way, and I think 2021 could definitely be a big year for Dominic Mysterio.
Nice.
So, hey, Spencer, real quick, can I throw a suggestion out for the next category we go into, because I didn't see it on our run sheet?
Yeah, go ahead. We can always throw in another category here.
We need to do rookie. Can we just go ahead? You want to just go ahead and do that one now?
Let's knock it out.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
We'll start with you since you suggested this.
Okay. So I just alluded to it in my when I gave my pick for debut of the year, and Pat McAfee. What if he decided to pursue this full time and wrestled a few more times, he could have easily won this for me. But my pick for rookie of the year is the guy that you guys both mentioned in your debut of the year, and that's Dominic Mysterio, because again, he had that phenomenal match with Seth Rollins at SummerSlam, which was one day after Pat McAfee had his debut. He's clearly, made the most of his opportunity, being basically thrust into the spotlight, on the main roster, not having to go through NXT. And I think he's come out of it, with flying colors, and you can show that he, much like Pat McAfee, put in the work. So my pick for rookie of the year is Dominic Mysterio.
All right.
So let me go next, Spencer.
Go ahead.
Give me some time to think there. Rookie of the year for me is going to come out of AEW.
Ooh.
And I think the reason I'm going to go this way is because what they've already shown and where their future is, which in my opinion is going to be the faces of the company. My rookies of the year are Top Flight.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Give it to the tag team.
That's a really good one. I 100% agree with you on that one, Jovan. I'm not picking Top Flight, but they are going to be one of the tag teams of the future. They were, I think, trained by Motor City Machine Guns, and they have so much similarities to the Young Bucks because they're brothers.
Yes.
So could definitely be a great tag team for sure. And then like with them, Private Party, when they have a match, that's going to be amazing for sure. Can't wait for that one. So I mentioned Dominic Mysterio with my debut of the year, and now with this little curveball here with Rookie of the Year, I think I'm going to stick with AEW here, and I'm going to give it to a female
Ooh.
And if you
Why am I not surprised?
DDJ sees where this is going, I'm giving it to number 99 on a J.
Hey Spencer, look
yes.
at the camera real quick. You see my shocked face?
Yeah. These gentlemen are not shocked at all. But I want to give a shout out to Anna J. She had her AEW debut. She was a part of the quarantine shows in Atlanta when they filmed 6 or 7, 8 weeks, whatever. She did that there. She got offered a contract immediately. Then she came back, had a match with Abaddon, got taken away by the Dark Order. We're like, what's going on? But ever since that happened, she has been killing it on being the elite. She has gotten so much better in the ring. She even had an AEW Women's Championship match against Shida. I do believe she will be a future AEW Women's Champion. But she has improved a lot ever since her debut. And when she was on Debutt, whatever. When she was on the AEW Unrestricted podcast, she said, I think that the match she had with Shida in Atlanta, or whoever it was, that was her 6th or 7th match ever in professional wrestling. And just being thrust into that spotlight that early and to see where she is now, she is the star of the show still, but she has a great future ahead of her for sure.
Shout out to number 99.
Real quick, Spencer. Obviously, you made it pretty obvious who you were going with, but man, you know what? That still didn't made it. The way you explained it, still a hell of a pick.
Yeah.
Thank you. I know I'm a little biased towards the Dark Order a lot, but I think that one definitely needs a shout out. Join the Dark Order.
I have no problems with it.
Me neither.
All right. Next category. Most shocking moment of the year. Jovanni, I'm going to let you leave this one off.
Gentlemen, I'm going to do this real quick. It's Sting! Mic drop.
Yep.
You know what? For me, yeah, I got to do. And you know what? To kind of keep along with the theme of this one, it's Sting!
All right. Well, I thought we were going to get this one unanimous, and believe me, I want to pick it. And I'll say it because we're keeping the train going. It's not Sting. Oh. It is when Kenny Omega won the AEW World Title, and then the next week he appeared on Impact Wrestling and is going to be having a match at Impact's Hard to Kill in the new year. I think that's a moment that rocked the wrestling world to its core. Yes, Sting making his debut in AEW was great. No one saw it coming. Very shocking.
Brodie didn't see it coming.
Absolutely. And then with Kenny, people are like, okay, he's probably winning the title. But you tell me one person that saw him being on another program with the top title. No one called that. No. That's shocking. I do want to give an honorable mention to one moment that would have definitely made this list if those two things did not happen, and probably would have been my most shocking moment of the year. And that was when Edge came back at the Royal Rumble.
Yes.
That one to get consideration too. Yeah. And another honorable mention for me would have been when we had the big reveal on SmackDown that Roman Reigns was aligning himself with Paul Heyman.
Yes. Right.
So
absolutely. But just those recent events, it's hard to overlook those two for sure. Like AEW Winter is Coming is going to be a show people are going to be talking about for a long time.
And it was an pay-per-view.
Yeah. Nope. Real quick before we move on, it just goes to show you how just momentous that show really was.
Mm-hmm.
For one show that wasn't even a pay-per-view, it was just a 2-hour weekly program.
Mm-hmm.
Gave us arguably the two most shocking moments of the year. I mean, how many times have we watched a wrestling show and have been shocked on that level more than once?
Yep.
Not very often.
Right. It's true. You were reeling from Sting, and then you get Kenny Omega running out. You can hear it on Impact. What?
Yeah.
It's too much.
Right.
I'll just literally say that was the most shocking show of the year, for being honest.
Oh, yeah.
Agreed.
All right. We're going to get into a fun one here, gentlemen. We got Botch of the Year. DDJ, lead us off with that.
Man, I feel bad for making this my pick because it's kind of one of those, like, I go back to, and obviously if we were doing this, a couple years ago, I think this one would have won in a landslide, and I'm talking about Titus World Slide. That was one of those moments that, was hilarious because nobody got hurt. Obviously, if he had hurt himself real seriously, it's not funny at all, and it doesn't become a joke. And my pick for a Botch of the Year it falls along those same lines. It was funny because this person did not get hurt seriously. And I'm going to go back to the Monday Night Raw before WrestleMania this year. The 6-man tag team match.
Oh, I know where you're going.
It was Andrade, Angel Garza, and Austin Theory against Kevin Owens and the Street Profits. And there was a little spot where Montez Ford went to the ropes, shook the ropes, and yelled out WrestleMania, and he went against the ropes. And I don't know if Rollins was supposed to catch him or at what, but you could clearly see Rollins trying to go to trip up Montez, misses. Montez Ford does a full somersault, whatever you want to call it, tope con hello, whatever move, and he lands flat on his back, and you just hear this big thud. Yeah. It's like, WrestleMania, and then he's bouncing off the ropes, and he goes, and then you just hear this big thud and stuff. And thankfully, and I don't know if Austin Theory was supposed to catch him or what, but to me, again, the only reason why this gets my vote for Botch of the Year is because Montez Ford did not get seriously hurt.
Yes.
Yeah.
My Botch of the Year, man, I'm gonna have to differ from you on that one. That was a great botch. I'm not gonna lie to you, it was hilarious because no one got hurt. But mine also is gut-wrenching hilarious because nobody got hurt, and that is in this man's debut, Mr. I guess now he's going by Matt Sydal. To come out and be the wild card, the Joker, in the Battle Royal. Get on the top rope to do your, in my opinion, one of the best shooting stars in the business aside Billy Kidman, and you slip. The whole hard camera is on you. It is your moment, and you botch. Botch of the Year.
Well, we all got Michael Nakazawa to thank for that.
Damn it, Nakazawa.
Oh, wow. And you and me were there to see that live when that happened.
Oh, yeah. The air in the room went like that.
Yeah. I went on Facebook. I was recording it for the group, and I'm like, okay, who's it going to be? Who's going to be the Joker? And it turns out to be Evan Bourne. We were like, okay. And then he just has that botch, and I didn't even realize. I was like, oh, God, did he just botch that at Shooting Star Press?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so bad. Both great moments, gentlemen, for sure. Thankfully, none of those two were injured at all, and they were able to keep it going. My Botch of the Year goes to a certain match that happened earlier this year between The Undertaker and Goldberg, more commonly known as Goldberg.
Goldberg.
And that match was, that was rough to watch. Those two definitely, yes, that match was one that was a long time coming, but they should have not been wrestling that match at all.
No, the whole match was a botch.
Terrible botch. It looked like maybe Goldberg had the concussion, but thankfully he was okay. So that is, again, why we can put that in here. If anything seriously, like an injury happens, no, that's not a botch. That's just doesn't need to be touched. But thankfully, nobody was seriously injured, and they were able to both keep going on wrestling. Next category, Breakout Star of the Year. All right, I'm going to lead this one off here. And I think this one might be unanimous. We'll see how it goes. I am going to go with giving the people what they want. And what they want is freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. That man has had a fantastic 2020. he and Trip Beretta and Chuck were all the MVPs of all those tape shows, and then he got some amazing opportunities. He got to fight Jericho 3 times and actually went over 2 out of the 3 times. He had some great segments with like the debate. He really has got to show his personality. At the start of AEW, people didn't really know who he was, but apparently that was all part of Tony Khan's plan. It's like start kind of slow, and then as AEW gets going, we'll make Cassidy a big star. And they are doing great because I don't know, not right now, but he has throughout the year, he has like 1 or 2 of the top shirts on Pro Wrestling Tees. So this man, he's a star. So he is the breakout star of the year for sure.
DDJ, take the next one, man. I need to think now. He made a good point for Orange Cassidy.
Yeah. So I'm honestly shocked that you didn't go with another person, Spencer, and he actually is going to be my honorable mention. But for me, when I define the term breakout is when you have something happens at some point that takes you to that next level. And for me, this man, 2020 was when he went to the next level. I'm going to go with a certain face half painted skateboard daredevil enigmatic guy, and I'm going with the current AEW TNT champion, and that is one Darby Allin. To me, he was clearly on the verge of becoming a superstar. And he just needed that one big moment to push him to that next level. And when he defeated Cody Rhodes for the TNT title, to me, that alone signified he was at the next level. And for that reason mainly, he gets my pick for breakout star of the year. My honorable mention would have been John Silver because, I mean, again, he's another guy that through BTE, which you alluded to earlier, Spencer, and just the way he had stepped up in the and again, if this comes off as being a poor choice of words because of what happened in the absence of Mr. Brodie Lee, rest in peace. He really, and I think I said this to you guys, like he really was the one guy in the Dark Order that really stepped it up more than anybody. So John Silver gets my honorable mention, but again, for me, my pick for breakout star of the year is Darby Allin.
Good picks, man. John Silver, that was a sneaker too that I wouldn't have thought of.
Both good picks, yeah.
All right, Jovanni, you've had your time to think. Let's hear it.
So I was thinking of coming off of my pick because, man, Johnny Hungy, hell of a pick for runner-up.
Yeah.
Spencer made a hell of a case for OC.
Yes, he did.
DDJ just, godly, that I hadn't even considered Darby Allin because in my mind, Darby is already made.
Yeah.
My breakout star, I'm going to stick with my original thought, and I'll give you guys the roadmap why. My breakout star is going to be One Thunder Rosa.
Oh, that's a good one.
Your former NWA Women's Champion. She's currently feuding with Britt Baker, which is one of the hottest feuds right now in the women's division for AEW. That doesn't pertain a title.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know anything about Thunder Rosa outside of AEW, outside of NWA, you know that she's just launched her own wrestling school with Jazz and Rodney Mack. Mm-hmm. They've got their own promotion, which is Mission Pro Wrestling, that she's also a part of. So not only is she an active superstar, but she's doing everything else behind the scenes with the school, with the promotion that she heads up, and all this, gentlemen, and she's only 5 years in the business.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think AEW, having her on when she was the NWA champion, giving her that spotlight, that pushed her straight to the moon. So my breakout for 2020 is One Thunder Rosa.
Excellent pick. Well done, everybody, on this one. I think we all have valid picks for this. So very well done, guys.
We're the real ones. We are the real.
Yeah, and you could see we all picked somebody that works with AEW or has some affiliation with AEW. So it's like maybe AEW is doing something right building up their stars there. So,
Oh yeah,
I think 2021 we're going to see some new faces on this list for sure, and maybe it might even all come from AEW. We'll see. All right, let's move on to the next category, gentlemen. This is one I think Jovan's going to like to talk about, and that is comeback of the year. So I'm going to let him lead off with this one.
comeback of the year, man. This is wrestlers go through phases. When you're hot, you're hot. When you're not, you're not. Shout out to Hot or Not with Jovanni to Hotty.
Cheap pop.
I get cheap pops too. And it could be something to where either a wrestler has left and come back, or creative didn't have anything for them and out of nowhere they're getting a push again.
Mm-hmm.
But the story that goes with my comeback wrestler of the year is quite different. He, for all intents and purposes, was done wrestling. Yeah, he may have booked him a couple of indie showings, and he went out and did that, still maintained in great shape. But he had a child, and he said, you know what? My son never saw me compete at the highest level in the WWE. He sees it on the network, but he doesn't know who his father really was. So he went out, Royal Rumble weekend, joined the Royal Rumble, also another mysterious entrance like Edge was. But then he continued to do it, and he continued to show up. He showed up at the Monday Night After Raw, put on a great performance, what everybody thought was his swan song. And then he went on to manage one of the better things going on in the WWE right now. Ladies and gentlemen of the Junkyard, my comeback wrestler of the year is 3 letters, 1 person, MVP.
For me, this was one of the categories when I was sitting down working on all of my picks. This was one of the ones that I went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth on up until probably a couple of hours ago. I'm going to tell you right now, as much as I agree with everything you said, Jovanni, with MVP, I didn't go with him, but he was my runner-up in this category. And the main reason why I went with my pick was because this was something that I thought I would never see again. I think you guys know where I'm going with this. For my pick for comeback of the year, to me, MVP, if this guy did not come back, it would have been a runaway landslide. I think it probably would be unanimous amongst all of us. It would have been MVP for the reasons you so eloquently put. But for me, I got to go with Edge, because for a guy to retire under the circumstances that he had to retire, where basically he was told one more bad bump and you're going to be paralyzed for the rest of your life. Yep. So when he retired right after WrestleMania 27, he gave a very impassioned, emotional speech. And I admit, I cried, much like a lot of us probably did, because, Edge was so awesome back then. It's just a shame to see when he clearly could go, look like he could go for a few more years.
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea it was coming. I was at a friend's house with my son watching this, and when I saw him come out and I saw how good he looked, I saw the look on his face when he was coming to the ring. You could it hit me in the feels, and it's just to see him go on to actually have a very decent run in that Royal Rumble match. He wasn't just there and, out real quick. He was actually able to be one of the last 3 in that match.
Yep.
Then to go on to do the stuff that he did with Randy Orton at WrestleMania and then at Backlash, unfortunately, during the greatest wrestling match of all time, he was injured.
Yeah.
But I don't think we see his comeback is going to be cut short. I fully expect to see him back. In fact, at our when we were discussing TLC, I said my early prediction for the Rumble was that I think that's when we'll see Edge make his return back to the ring. But again, for me, it went between MVP and Edge, but just in the end, just with everything that he had to battle back to come back to get to this point, I have to go with my Edge as my pick for comeback of the year.
He was my runner-up.
I think we're kind of going to be in agreement with this one. Runner-up and first place are definitely going to go to MVP and Edge for sure. Now, DDJ, you make a fantastic case for Edge. He is actually my runner-up. I'm going to go with MVP as my winner. But you made a fantastic case. He came back for the Royal Rumble. He looked great. Nobody ever thought he would come back. He has had some good matches with Randy Orton. Unfortunately, he was injured during Backlash. Like you said, you think he might appear during the Royal Rumble next year. I've gone on record saying I think he's going to have one more WWE Championship run in him. So I definitely don't think we've seen the last of him. But MVP, he is a guy that no one has really heard from or heard anything about. Maybe Jovan said like maybe a few indie shows, but he came back and it was supposed to be maybe kind of like a one-off thing or maybe something on Monday Night Raw done. But he has gone on to manage and be a part of one of the best factions in WWE today, the Hurt Business. You have Bobby Lashley, the United States champion, Shelton Benjamin, who still looks as young as he did and still moves amazing for his age at 45. You have the young buck in Cedric Alexander, who was going nowhere, and then they brought him into this faction, and now he is holding the Raw Tag Team Champions with Shelton Benjamin. This is one of the hottest factions in WWE today, and it all started when MVP came back and got all these guys together, and I'm sure he had some creative input on getting this faction together. So, unfortunately, I would love to go with Edge, but I think it's very close. It's not like a runaway, but it's like 1A, 1B, but MVP gets the nod in this one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Again, I think really I think in this case, yeah, it was 1-2 with one of these two guys, and you really couldn't go wrong with either one. So
the next category is Feud of the Year. All right, DDJ, I'm going to lead you off on this one.
All right. So again, this was another one that I went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth on because there were three feuds that when I kind of sat down and tried to look at all the different feuds that we saw during this year that I think really had, something going on. And another one that I just thought of that had it started earlier in the year and went at the pace that it did, it could easily be very well in the consideration in the running for my pick for this as well. That being Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens, because that has been fantastic. And had this started, say, in September or October or earlier in the year, and they went the way they did, this could have easily gotten my pick. I'm just going to go right to it. I also had a couple honorable. Well, I'm not going to even give my honorable mentions. I'm just going to, because I don't want to, maybe steal your guys' thunder. For me, my feud of the year came down to this: the intensity of the matches when they happened, especially what you would consider the blow-off. The promos that these two men cut on each other, because, man, they felt so real because they were real. These guys were going off real, raw emotions. They played into their past history with each other. And it really saw the rise of a man who had spent so many years toiling on the independents, before finally getting his big break. My pick for Feud of the Year is Jon Moxley versus Eddie Kingston.
Nice.
Good pick.
So.
All right, Jovan?
Yeah, that feud felt real, guys. It was personal. It felt real personal.
All right.
My Feud of the Year, gentlemen, to me, I love the Mox feud and the Kingston feud. It had a lot of good points. It had a lot of feeling into it. If it had maybe gone a little longer, maybe more than just the two matches between them, I would have definitely put it there because they still had a lot they could have done with that and probably will still do. Who knows where we go now with Mox not being champ anymore.
Yeah.
But my Feud of the Year, really, it's the slow burn that I love, gentlemen. And this one had the setup. This one kind of just started unraveling between our eyes. Then we get to reveals and we get to, matches that determine these matches that determine that matches that show where the battle lines are. My pick for Feud of the Year is the Undisputed Era versus the Kings of NXT.
Wow, that's a good one.
the slow burn buildup, but the Pat McAfee reveal. Then you get Dune, Lorcan, and Birch. And then the whole UE. And then there's, will the UE turn on each other? Will they not turn on each other?
Mm-hmm.
It gave us.
Is the UE done?
Exactly. Can they still go? And just everything that you want in a good feud. It started with words. It even started outside of WWE on the Pat McAfee show.
Yeah.
And this thing boiled over into a War Games, which is one of the most heinous structures they have in pro wrestling outside of Hell in a Cell. And it was phenomenal. The go-home match was phenomenal. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. There was no maybes. No, this is 100% Undisputed Era runs NXT. For that reason, because of the duration and how it ended, Undisputed Era, Feud of the Year.
All right. Definitely great answers by both of you guys there. My pick is going back to a feud in AEW that lasted a few months. This is a feud between two tag teams. This all started, not all started, but it really heated up when a certain person's mother van was attacked.
Wow. I love this already.
Best Friends versus Santana and Ortiz.
Nice. That gets a full-blown thumbs up, not an OC thumbs up. Full-blown thumbs up.
Wow. Okay, so going into this more, these two, we're just kind of having a match. It's like one of those, okay, they're supposed to fight. But then it started like boiling over, and Santana and Ortiz were getting pissed, and they were like, okay. The Best Friends, Trent and Chuck, they came to the ring and hit Trent's mom's van, Sue's van. So then Santana Ortiz was like, okay, enough fun and games. We're going to go after your mom's van. And they just wrecked it. And that just took things to a different level. You wouldn't think maybe like attacking a van would be personal, but they sold the hell out of it. They were like, you're attacking this van. You're attacking us. Like that gave an impassioned promo by Trent. And then it led to what could be considered one of the matches of the year, and that was that parking lot brawl they had on the main event of Dynamite. Fantastic. If you have not seen that, please go out of your way and watch that match.
Hey, Spence.
Yeah.
Real quick, if somebody did that to my mom's vehicle, you damn right it's going to get personal.
Oh, yeah. It's going to get real personal.
So these boys said it best. Shit got personal. It got real. It's my feud of the year. Best Friends versus Santana and Ortiz.
God, what a freaking great feud, man. That was my top three. I was going between three of them, and that was one.
All right.
I never even thought about that one, but man, what a great job on this category as well, guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, all right. We have one more category, and then we're going to move on to our Lifetime and Achievement Award. And this last category before that is Storyline of the Year. Jovanni, lead us off on this one, please.
Storyline of the Year. I'm going to give this to the storyline that actually... I don't think it's any secret that I'm an AEW guy, right? I am... AEW since day one, but this storyline made me interested in the WWE again. It kind of brought me back, and I think it's done that for a lot of people who found themselves getting tired of the product. Storyline of the year for me, the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. Heel Roman.
Absolutely. Right. It's a good one.
So, for me, I've said that this storyline is the best thing that I've seen when it comes to a storyline in all of professional wrestling in the last like 10, 15 years, probably even longer. And pretty much Jovanni nailed it. I got to go with this whole Roman Reigns Tribal Chief, the family storyline, because one, it's given us the Roman Reigns that a lot of the fans, including us, have been asking for. It's also basically launched put Jey Uso in a really good spot on the card and given him a chance to spotlight what he can do. And also, too, it gave us those really impassioned promos from Kevin Owens. And it's just, this is the one thing that WWE has gotten right over the past few years. And it's given us a glimmer of hope that maybe somehow, some way, that there is hope for WWE. So for me, this was a slam dunk. No, I couldn't even think of anything else. Storyline of the year, Roman Reigns.
Nice.
All right. So this storyline is definitely great, and I think it is the WWE storyline of the year. But I'm going to differ on this one with you, gentlemen.
Oh, I thought we might have had a unanimous one here.
I did too.
As soon as you guys said it, I would have picked it. But I really do think, personally, this is my storyline of the year. And I think it's actually spans a year. And that is the up and down year of one Hangman Adam Page.
Oh.
Going from the highest of highs, he won the tag team titles with Kenny Omega. They were on fire. They had a match of the century. They were all the way up. And then we started having the decline, like with FTR, and then they won the titles. And then Kenny Omega turned on Hangman. And then Hangman is now in like the darkest depths right now with the Dark Order. And when him and Kenny were feuding with the Young Bucks, like, will Hangman turn heel? He was probably one of the most interesting characters on AEW, and just watching his journey on the product and also on BTE has been one of the most interesting bits of storytelling I've seen all year. Yes, Roman was great. And for what they did in the story, the way they've done it, because that's just been since SummerSlam. And I will give them all the props in the world for that one. But I think just what AEW is doing with Hangman Page and what they're going to do with him in the future, I have to give a shout out to that and everything they've done with him. That is my storyline of the year.
I saw something that said the Hangman Page storyline was one of the most accurate depictions of mental illness, being anxiety, depression, and something else they named, and alcoholism that's ever been on TV.
Yeah,
so,
and
I mean, hell, that's
Jovan just sold my point there.
Yeah, that's a hell of a storyline.
Well, I'm disappointed we didn't have a unanimous decision on this one because I thought we did. Spencer, props to you, man. Sticking together, because that was a great pick.
It was a hell of a pick, and it was the full year, man. That's a hell of an ongoing storyline, and it's still going. Will he join Dark Order? Will he not? Oh, that's a hell of a call.
Yeah, long-term storytelling at its finest. All right, we are going to move on to our Lifetime Achievement Award. That is going to go to two men that retired this year. First off, we have NJPW's legendary light heavyweight, Jushin Thunder Liger. And then the man who his career has spanned decades, I think 4 decades now, that is The Undertaker. So go ahead, gentlemen, talk about these two and why they definitely deserve to be recognized.
I mean, for me, I think The Undertaker, it's pretty cut and dry with why he deserves something like that. Very few characters in the world of professional wrestling stand the test of time. You know, majority of characters over the years need to either be scrapped, completely overhauled, major league tweaked, however you want to put it and stuff. The one character that has been constant over the last 30 plus years, 30 years, has been The Undertaker. I mean, yeah, we've gotten, we went from the prototypical Old West Undertaker that we saw debut at the 1990 Survivor Series, and we saw the character evolve over time. We saw him evolve to, the Ministry of Darkness, where he really believed he was The Undertaker. Then we saw the rise of the American Badass. Then we saw the rebirth of the Dead Man at WrestleMania 20, But the one thing that always stayed the same was the essence of The Undertaker, and he provided the fans with so many memorable moments, so many memorable matches, and my God, his matches at WrestleMania were always almost more significant than the title matches. And
Yep.
a lot of people, that's why they would tune into WrestleMania to see if he could continue the streak, or how he, who he was going against in that. So it's pretty obvious, Undertaker Lifetime Achievement Award and that. So for Jushin Thunder Liger, Jushin Thunder Liger was a revolutionary in this business.
Yes.
The first time I saw him was in the early 90s WCW when he was feuding with Brian Pillman over the original WCW Light Heavyweight Championship match. I know when they were hyping his debut in WCW, we saw some footage from New Japan, and he was doing moves that at the time none of us had seen. He was doing moonsaults, he was doing flips, he was doing all this high flying stuff that's really become commonplace nowadays. And then he would go on to have just a tremendous match with Brian Pillman at Super Brawl 2, where Pillman would win back the WCW Light Heavyweight Championship. Liger would go on to wrestle for years. I believe he, at some point during the time, he beat brain cancer, or he had something where I thought he had some sort of issue where he was out, or he had some kind of issue with his brain or his head or something like that. And he came back from that, and he would just go on for years and years. And he finally, obviously, called it a career at this past Wrestle Kingdom, had a very beautiful retirement ceremony, just fitting in that. So, and I mean, Jushin Thunder Liger was the original cruiserweight, and I believe even more so than Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero. I believe he was the true pioneer of what we would go on to know as the cruiserweight division. So, absolutely, Jushin Thunder Liger is very worthy of a Lifetime Achievement Award.
And beautifully said, DDG. I couldn't agree more. You're looking at two guys where we say lifetime achievement. This isn't something to be taken lightly, because these aren't guys who only gave 5, 10, 15, 20. These guys gave 30 plus years apiece to this business, doing what they loved. To go to Jushin Thunder Liger. Jushin Thunder Liger captivated fans with his mask, with his moves. In Japan, they had masked wrestlers, but nothing to the effect of the just ambiance that Jushin had. He was like their Undertaker.
Right.
He was their spectacle, their big must-see guy. And then that big must-see guy had a second guy inside of him, which was Kenshin Liger. When he takes the mask off, you got the face paint, and, that's his serious side. And I think he only made 2 or 3 debuts. But the whole thing is these guys literally gave everything to their craft. I don't think anybody has seen Jushin Liger completely out of his makeup, out of his mask. I do know he guarded his identity a lot. Even now on the commentary in JPW, he still wears the mask. He doesn't do the full-on face paint, but he wears the mask when he commentates. Side note for all of you history buffs here, there was a young upstart going into New Japan in the early 90s who had golden flocks and locks of hair, and their initial thought was to make him the anti-Liger. They were going to call him Super Liger. Well, that wrestler would become known as Y2J Chris Jericho, late champion. So Jericho said the only reason he wasn't Super Liger longer than just one match is he couldn't see and he couldn't work in the mask. So there's literally only one match between Super Liger and Jushin Liger. That was a young Chris Jericho and Jushin Thunder Liger. And then on the other side of the world, man, these two guys couldn't have been more far apart from each other. One in the States, the other in Japan. Of course, Jushin did his tours here with WCW and even a match in WWE, which is why they put him in the Hall of Fame when he retired. And in my opinion, also, other promotions, even if Jushin Liger didn't directly work with you, he deserves a spot in the Hall of Fame for what he's done for the business alone.
Right.
But The Undertaker, Mean Mark Calloway, Mean Mark Callis, Texas Red himself. I give it to Vince because back in his heyday, Vince could have taken a worker that nobody saw nothing in, or nobody really saw the full potential of, like he did with Texas Red. Mean Mark was in WCW. He wasn't doing well. He met Vince. Somehow, I think in an interview, The Undertaker said he had this Undertaker idea, and this is what he wanted to do, is just make me a big, foreboding character. And The Undertaker was born. That was Vince's idea. But Mark Calloway, The Undertaker, made that character. I remember the debut of The Undertaker. There was people crying, kids crying in the audience because you have this big, scary figure with this long black hair who really looked like death warmed over. And when you're 6 foot something and you look like death, you're going to scare the hell out of a lot of people.
Yeah.
So revolutionary in the way that he stuck to the business, man. Taker now, after retiring, is finally breaking kayfabe a little bit, and he's talking about the business.
Yeah.
Which is something he would never do. Taker guarded the business more than anybody that we've ever known. To double down on that point, Taker was almost always the judge in wrestler's court. And for those of you who don't know what wrestler's court is, that's pretty much, if there was any beefs in the backstage area, they took it upon the elders in the backstage, right? You'll have a lawyer, someone to defend you, someone who's going against you and is trying to prove what you did. But then you had the judge, whoever made the presiding ruling. You know, this is what's happening, and it's according to me. Well, Taker was that backstage presence that everybody went to, and they were like, okay, well, what does The Undertaker say about it? What does Mark think? And, you know, more backstory into why Wrestler's Court became a thing. I don't know if you guys know, but Wrestler's Court was invented after the death of Bruiser Brodie. Bruiser Brodie was killed in a backstage altercation in Puerto Rico. It was not by an unruly fan. Please watch Dark Side of the Ring. They give you the actual story.
Exactly.
And it was a dispute between Invader number 2 and Bruiser Brodie. And Invader ended up stabbing him in the back with or without Carlos Colon. Depends on who you believe. All allegations on that part with Carlos Colon. But he had some hand in it. But anyways, to get off of that point, because I can do a whole episode on that, Wrestler's Court was created that same day by Dutch Mantel, Dirty Dutch. So there would no longer be any more real backstage heat between guys. And they always had your leaderships, you know, your wrestling leaders to be in that position of power. Dirty Dutch Mantel was in it. Then The Undertaker was in it. These are guys who everybody looked up to. And if you go in a 30-plus year career and everybody looks at you as the big dog, you're obviously doing something right. You're not just the company man, but your peers also look up to you. That's one legacy of The Undertaker that I think is going to get a little overshadowed by his in-ring career. Mm-hmm. But just both of these guys, lifetime achievement, man. It's well-deserved for them, what they've done in front of, behind of the camera, and what they meant to their fans worldwide.
Absolutely. Both of you guys said it great. I don't want to spend too much time, but I definitely agree. Both these gentlemen belong in any Hall of Fame, in any Lifetime Achievement Award categories at all. They are two revolutionaries that have greatly impacted the business, both in their territories and everywhere they've been. So definitely shout out to Jushin Thunder Liger and Mark Calloway, The Undertaker. You guys are the Junkyard's first ever Lifetime Achievement Award winners.
I think they need to go out on a famous chant, you guys. Let's give them a "You Deserve It."
All right.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. You deserve it.
You deserve it.
Okay, we got to work on a coordination.
We suck, but guys, listen to this. Y'all know what it is. Do the chant for them. You deserve it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for doing that. Before we move on to our next category, let's do a in memoriam for wrestlers that we unfortunately lost in this year. Jovan, do you want to lead us off?
Leading us off, man, with La Parka number 2.
DDJ?
Soul Man Rocky Johnson.
Dr. Hannibal Steve Gillespie.
Justice Payne.
Rip Oliver.
The great announcer, Howard Finkel.
The real-life superhero, Shad Gaspard.
The beautiful Hana Kimura.
Danny Havoc.
Rollerball Rocco.
The Ugandan headhunter, Kamala.
Xavier.
Bullets Bob Armstrong.
Oh, I'm glad I got to say this one because this one means the world to me. Road Warrior Animal.
Tracy Smothers.
Tiny Lister, known to the world of wrestling as Zeus.
The first ever Intercontinental Champion, Pat Patterson.
This one we just recently lost, but the exalted one and leader of the Dark Order who will not be forgotten, John Huber, a.k.a. Mr. Brodie Lee.
And finally, Mr. Danny Hodge.
All right. Back on a kind of a more fun note here. Let's get back into our junkies here. The next category.
Let's get back to the fun. Let's fun it up.
Let's fun it up.
For fun, man. After we give those guys their 10 count, we're all good. Let's go.
All right. Next category, Company of the Year. Dennis, lead us off on this one.
Now, if we're not unanimous on this one, I'm quitting. Not really. But, I mean, to me, this was another one that was a slam dunk, stone cold lock, whatever you want to call it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only were they giving us, and we always talk about we got to give the people what they want when we do our intro to the show. This company has continued throughout the year, despite all the these adversities that we've as a society have faced. They've continued to put in a quality show every Wednesday night. They've given us what we've wanted. They've given us the guys we want to see. They've given us the moments we want to see. And for me, I don't think there's any other answer that's more right in this category than going with All Elite Wrestling.
I'm doubling down. All Elite Wrestling.
Okay, well, to take a phrase from the very first pay-per-view and before it was All Elite Wrestling, I'm all in. I'm double or nothing. It's AEW hands down. It has to be.
Yes, we finally got one unanimous.
It only took almost the whole night.
Yep.
All right. Hey, guys, if you have a drink, I think I deserve a drink for a unanimous call there.
Salute.
Because I got a little bit left.
All right.
And now I'm empty.
Oh, sad day. All right, let's move on to our next category. That is pay-per-view of the year. Guapo to Hotty. Start us off.
This was a hard one, gentlemen. I had 2 pay-per-views, and I watched the meat of both of them today, trying to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And to me, just because everything that spawned from this pay-per-view and the pay-per-view itself, I'm giving it to the WWE Royal Rumble 2020.
Ooh, good one.
All right, Dennis?
That was honestly in consideration for my pick for pay-per-view of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Because it gave us so many memorable moments. Unfortunately, I did not go with that one, so we won't have a second straight unanimous category here. But I went with what I just felt like every match on this show was just amazing. I mean, you had potential match of the year candidates. You had fights, you had technical wrestling, you had a little bit of everything, and that's what you always want to get in a pay-per-view. For me, my pick for pay-per-view of the year was AEW's Full Gear 2020.
Nice.
All right. So we had one WWE pay-per-view from Jovanni to Hotty. We had an AEW pay-per-view from DDJ. I'm going to stick to AEW, but I am not going Full Gear. I'm going to go back to February, and that is AEW Revolution.
I was there.
That was my second one that I kept fighting myself between.
Yes, and we know you were there, DJ.
Damn right I was. Second row.
Yes. That pay-per-view gave us, and I think we will be talking about this match later on, the Young Bucks versus Kenny and Hangman Adam Page for the AEW World Tag Team titles. You had Cody versus MJF. You had Mox versus Jericho. Correct me if I am wrong, but I do remember. I think we had Pac versus Orange Cassidy.
Yes.
Yes.
And then we also had, I think, Dustin Rhodes versus Jake Hager too, right?
Correct.
Jericho's bitch. Great shirt.
I believe also, too, that show marked the official AEW debut of a certain Dark Order member, and that would be Boom Boom Colt Cabana.
Colt Cabana, yeah. The pre-show match. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we definitely have that too.
Yeah, man, one thing I want to say about that show, because that is a great show, Orange Cassidy was super over that night. I mean, before those two even locked horns and locked up for the first time, we already had "This Is Awesome" chants going on in that match.
Mm-hmm.
The moment he said he's gonna try, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good.
Yep.
And you just made another point for my breakout star of the year, Orange Cassidy. I totally forgot about Pac versus Orange Cassidy until I started talking about it. So that was a great too.
There you go.
All right. Our next category here in the Junkies, and that is Best Babyface of the Year. Dennis, leave this one off for us.
So, to me, what defines a babyface is the guy that everybody likes, regardless of the reason. He's just someone that everybody gets behind for one reason or another. And this is someone that we've already talked about. In fact, Spencer just alluded to him. So my pick for best babyface of this year is the one, the only Orange Cassidy.
Good pick.
I mean, just because this guy has made a character who, for some reason or another, just work. He drives Jim Cornette crazy. I mean, and it's just, I don't know how a character, I don't know why a character like Orange Cassidy works, but it works. And it's just very few guys are just over like Orange Cassidy. And I'm going to go back to what I alluded to when you were discussing your pick for pay-per-view of the year. That match at Revolution, being in that arena when he came out, and even before they locked up, we were getting "This Is Awesome" chants, which is something I had. If I've heard it, it's maybe been only once or twice in all the years I've been watching pro wrestling. And he for one reason or another was just so over. And to me, there's just really no one like him. And yeah, Orange Cassidy is my pick for best babyface of the year.
All right.
Good pick. Good pick.
Great pick.
So, my pick for babyface of the year, and this one, I'm going to try not to sound like a mark, but I am.
You mark.
Guys, for me, the babyface has to be the face of the company. This is the person that they're building this company around this person. This person is either putting this company on their back, they're going to bat for this company, and I don't think there's been a babyface out there that's done that better this year than my pick, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes.
Ooh.
Coming out from the pandemic, Cody comes out in front of the world and he addresses the world. And his infamous, "Are the elite still elite? And this is what the new norm is." That promo with shades of Hard Times, where he made you feel every word he said. That is why he is one of the mega faces. And the fact that when he comes back and you try to turn him heel, and you get such a negative reaction to everybody not liking heel Cody that he immediately has to turn face the next week. Guys, that's what happens when people are not willing to turn on somebody. They turned on the heel turn, but they didn't turn on Cody. Now, there's always going to be haters because everybody's going to hate the baby faces. Hell, people hate Cena, and he was always a white meat baby face. Hustle, loyalty, respect for the children, and people hated him. I'm not saying Cody doesn't have haters, but I'm saying as of right now, being the face that runs the place in AEW, Cody Rhodes has to be my face of the year.
Well put.
Yeah, definitely. You make a good case for that one. I'll go ahead and just add, I don't think when he came back, that was a heel turn. I think that's still to come. But alluding there, Dennis, you gave a great pick with Orange Cassidy. He definitely is a over babyface for sure. But I'm going to go back to Jovan, and I believe the babyface of the year, the top face of the year, has to be the face of the company. And I'm going to go with the man that held the AEW championship for most of 2020, and that is Jon Moxley.
Oh.
Justin Roberts did it better.
Retribution.
Oh.
I was going to give you an A for effort, but now it just went down to a C minus.
That's okay. As long as I'm passing still, so I'm good.
That's a Georgia A.
Okay, so going back to this one, it all started when Jon Moxley was going after Jericho in the Inner Circle for the AEW title. Then he tricked. There was a funny moment when he tricked the Inner Circle. It's like, oh yeah, I'm joining, and then he popped champagne. He's like, I'm joking.
Yes.
Totally wrecked them all, and then he went on to win the AEW championship at Revolution. There were some unfortunate circumstances where he couldn't be at all the shows with the championship because his wife, Renee, did have COVID. Then he had some infection, so he had to make sure he stayed healthy. But for the most part of the year, he did carry that company and to carry their title with honor. He was PWI's #1 wrestler of the year. I know that list is subjective, but I definitely think you do need to recognize that. And he did have some good matches. Not great, but for sure, like being a babyface, you put it good, Jovan. Like people need to be behind him and get behind this man. And a lot of people definitely got behind Moxley and believe, that's their champion and put that man as like that's someone that represented the company, because after he came from WWE as Dean Ambrose, he did a paradigm shift when he appeared at Double or Nothing, and then he was all in. He won their championship and held that title up until when he lost it to Kenny Omega at Winter is Coming. So my babyface of the year is former AEW World Champion Jon Moxley.
Good
Well
pick.
done.
Very well.
One thing I want to say about that night he won the title at Revolution, I think it had to have been, I believe, after they after the show officially ended, like they cut the live feed. He cut just an amazing promo after the match and stuff. And then, of course, they had the obligatory, he was wearing the shirt, with the belt with the spray paint.
Right.
And, of course, they were like, we AEW planned ahead and has a limited number of Jon Moxley AEW champion shirts available for sale. And, of course, me being the guy that I am, get one on my way out of the arena.
You have to.
You have to.
Absolutely.
Especially
I wanted to get the one that says I was there for that because I was there for that. So.
Oh, there it is.
Yep.
Yeah,
You're
definitely.
over your one per episode on that, buddy.
All right. Next category before DDJ just keeps talking about how he was at AEW Revolution. And that is the best heel of the year. Yeah, it's the DDJ for sure is my winner. But Jovan.
Thank you. You hate me. You really hate me.
Believe me, we really hate you. But no, we love you, man. It's all fun and games.
Oh my God, this has been great.
I know. Jovan, who's your heel of the year?
My heel of the year is somebody who you have to be a heel consistently, in and out, just heel. I don't want to see you break character. I don't want to see you high-fiving kids on the way down to the ring. this heel takes it as far as I've seen him tell a fan in a wheelchair that he was going to do something he couldn't, and that is stand up and walk away.
Hey, Jovanni, fun fact, I know I'm friends with the guy that he did that, cut that promo on.
Jesus, dude.
Yep.
And then I've paid $50 to get this heel to autograph something for me. Just to get B-rated and called Tons of Fun. And then to have him have his buddy sign it because he didn't feel like signing autographs that day.
Oh,
and of course, there's only one person who could be this awful, and that is the one and only MJF, heel of the year.
As soon as we discussed this category, again, slam dunk, there's nobody even in this ballpark. The mark of a good heel is for you to really hate and wish nothing but like bad things happen to this guy.
Yes.
Obviously, we, as you know, us three being the type of fans that we are, we know he's just playing a character. But man, he does it the way that it used to be done and the way that it should still be done. I kind of have a funny story about this guy too, and it's kind of ironic that, you know, I once bought a shirt proudly proclaiming how much I hate this guy. And it says right on the thing, I hate this guy. And I posted on it. I posted a picture of me wearing it on Twitter. I tweeted the guy, and I'm like, what do you got to say? And he said so. He basically got eviscerated on Twitter by this guy that basically I forgot what he called me. Something saying about toe jam infested, can't see my feet or something. If I can find the picture, I will send it to you guys once we're done recording.
Yeah.
But man, I consider it a badge of honor to have been verbally eviscerated by this guy on Twitter. And yes, he's a bad guy. But yes, as you can see, if you're watching this on YouTube, he is the back-to-back Dynamite Diamond Ring champion. I'm wearing his scarf because he's better than me, and I know it. And that is Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF. My pick for heel here.
Love it.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Right now, currently, I did have somebody else as heel of the year.
Ooh.
I'm doing a 360, though. I'm giving it to MJF. You guys make a fantastic case for that, and I will go into who the other person is in a minute. But you guys, for sure, he is the heel of the year. We all love to hate that man, and he is just keeping the business alive by just kind of verbally attacking us, but it's all in the character. He actually did a little promo for us in PWJ where he just basically buried us.
Yeah.
And I thought it was the best thing I've ever seen. It was gold.
And I quote, "Pro wrestling junkies, go F yourselves."
Hey, Jovan.
Yes.
We all know that Spencer just didn't want to be different from us because had he gone, and I'm anxious to see who he picks, had he stuck with this pick, he saved himself from the embarrassment of me singing this little number. One of these things is not like another.
All right.
Spencer, don't leave us hanging. Who were you originally going to go with?
Okay, so I'm surprised you guys didn't even mention this guy at all. And we have been talking about him quite a lot. And he did make a return at WWE Slam, the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns.
All right.
Okay.
And see, that's who I had originally, but then I was thinking about what you guys said. I'm like, no, it has to be MJF. So MJF is the winner, clear, bar none. But Roman Reigns has been killing it. He came back, and nobody knew what was going to happen. It's like, oh, they actually going to maybe turn heel? And yes, they have fully turned him heel, put him with Paul Heyman. He is killing it. I think if he would have had a longer run,
Yep.
I think there might have been a case for him to definitely win this category for sure. But
I don't know, man. Roman still seems like he would be nice to fans, where MJF really doesn't give an F.
And see, that's the point that you started saying that. I'm like, yeah, that kind of makes more sense for sure.
I saw him hold another guy in a wheelchair. He had one of the electric wheelchairs that lifts up so he could try to take a photo with him.
Yeah.
MJF looks him dead ass in the eyes and goes, "Are you trying to stand up to me?"
Don't forget, he made an appearance at C2E2 2020. The day, I think it was the day after Revolution, because they were basically in that same area.
Yep.
And he got, I guess, apparently he got a lot of heat for this, at least online. There was a guy there that was with his kid doing a photo op, and point blank, MJF looked at the kid, and the kid was staring directly in the camera, smiling, because he's probably excited to meet MJF. MJF looks at this kid and gives him the middle finger.
Yes.
If that doesn't scream heel, I don't know what does.
Nope. That screams heel.
Yes.
All right. So, yeah, MJF, the unanimous winner of the Junkyard's Junkie Heel of the Year. All right. We got a few more categories here to finish it us off. Let's get into the big ones here. Tag Team of the Year. Let's start off with Jovan. Who you got?
Oh, fellas, I feel like this is not going to be unanimous because I toiled back and forth with this decision.
Right.
There are a few tag teams this year that, whether you're an actual tag team, meaning you've been together for a while, or you were a put-together tag team where you're two single stars who came together, I gave everybody consideration in this category. And I went through all shows to make sure I wasn't leaving out somebody who was deserving of being Tag Team of the Year. And I think I just need to say my pick so I don't flip on it again. For me, my Tag Team of the Year are the Street Profits. Going with them because they've had a lot of momentum. They finally got the rub from the New Day. They're the champions now. I see them being SmackDown champions for a good moment. To me, they are essentially the new big tag team in the WWE. If done right and if they're booked right, I think they can carry that show, which they may have to. Yeah, I'm doubling down with the Street Profits.
All right. Dennis?
So when we first discussed this category, I had a completely different tag team in mind. Then I sat down and I thought about it, and I said, well, this tag team I originally was going to make my pick, they had an amazing run, but in terms of like being the tag team, being the champs, things like that, it ended, their original run ended, I want to say, I think in sometime in June, early July. I'm a huge fan of this tag team, so it really broke my heart not picking them as my tag team of the year. And sadly, I think we've seen the end of this tag team. And that is, and I'm just going to let you know right now, this was my original pick, and that was the North.
Oh.
Because they had an amazing run. They were the longest reigning Impact Tag Team Champions of all time.
Yes.
He's a former guest on the virtual markout. But when I sit down and thought about it, this team that I went with really has been, I believe, right now, out of every major title, with the exception of maybe one, and that is only because this person hasn't had a chance to defend this title in almost a year because of certain issues, that being Jon Moxley and New Japan, the IWGP US title. I believe this team actually right now has the longest title reign of any champion in any major promotion. And I'm going with I'm going to go with Jovanni in this. They were dubbed I think in our opinion, they were given the rub at Survivor Series. I got to go with the Street Profits as tag team of the year because they've basically been tag team champions, I think, for continuously since, I want to say, what was it, Fastlane or right before that, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, so my pick, it's the Street Profits as well. And for the record, that Montez Ford, and I'm just going to stay this till my dying breath. If it happens before I go, it doesn't happen before I go. Montez Ford will be a major star when the Street Profits split.
Yes, like they say on Such Good Shoot, one of our sister podcasts on the PWJ Pod Squad, that is a hill that I am willing to die on. Montez Ford is a future star.
That's a hill I'm willing to die on as well, for sure. Unfortunately, we are not going to have a agreement again between all three of us, but you guys give a fantastic case for the Street Profits, and I would like to switch, but I have to give it to these guys, who were not a tag team, but came together and held the AEW World Tag Team Championships for the longest time since their inception. And that is the team that beat SCU on the Jericho Cruise Part 2. And that is Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. Those guys definitely carried the tag team brand, the division, for sure. AEW is stacked with tag teams for sure. Any of them could be tag team champions. But these two, and with the storyline they were building up to, they were able to put on some of like the best matches I've seen and tell an incredible story inside and outside of the ring. And when I think of tag team of the year, yes, the Street Profits are very well deserving and definitely a good honorable mention in my case. But I have to go with Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, and for the year that they had. It's going to be completely different because they're not a tag team anymore, and it was a good, fun experiment. But for 2020, that's my tag team of the year.
Yeah,
Can't make an argument against it.
No, that was actually my backup pick too. That's who I kept fighting between, is them and the Street Profits.
Yeah, I both well deserving for sure.
They were in the conversation with my pick as well too. But like I said, in the end I went with the Street Profits for the reasons I stated.
All right. Next category, Male Wrestler of the Year. DDJ, lead us off on this one.
All right, so this one here was another one. While not as difficult of a choice as some of the other categories that I made, this one did have I had a little bit of an internal debate as to which way I was going to go. The reason why I went with my pick was because this was really, I think, the year of this guy. He started out the year by having a memorable moment at the Royal Rumble.
Ooh.
He's really been the face of the WWE during these unprecedented times during COVID. It's a crime that his Mania moment was not in front of a live crowd, because if anything deserved to be in front of a live crowd, this moment deserved to be.
Mm-hmm.
So my pick for Male Wrestler of the Year is the two-time and current WWE World Heavyweight Champion, Drew McIntyre.
Good pick.
Great pick.
Honorable mention, the other guy that I was thinking about with this was Jon Moxley. But, I mean, I couldn't overlook what Drew has meant to the WWE during this time. I mean, because he's really been one of the face. To steal a line from Spencer's favorite, AJ Styles, he's really been the face that's been running the place.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're not going to be in unison on this one, guys, and that's okay. My pick for Male Wrestler of the Year was the longest reigning AEW Heavyweight Champion. He started the year in a title hunt. He got the title. He defended the title. He gave us a lot of memorable matches. He gave us a promo that was breaking news to the world that he's going to be a daddy.
Yep.
He brought in an indie star who deserved to be where he is now and never got the rub.
Mm-hmm.
For that alone, I think what he's done for that guy, and then what we've done, just how he's kind of carried the empty arena thing with his promos, the way he goes, he still has this entrance coming through a halfway empty crowd, and people are there. When the people are there, they're going loud. Mm-hmm. And my pick is going to be the PWI #1 ranked male wrestler, Mr. Jon Moxley.
That was better than Spencer's.
Oh, I knew that was coming.
Anyway, I'll save you the trouble. Retribution.
Wow, you just assume I'm going to say that.
Yeah. I figured I beat you to the punch.
No fun now. All right. So yes,
fun for me.
Make it too easy. All right. So my pick, and again, we are not going to agree. Drew McIntyre, great pick. Jon Moxley, great pick. But I'm going to go with the man who I actually just mentioned in my tag team of the year, and that is the cleaner Kenny Omega.
All right.
Started out. Oh, Jovan doesn't agree with that one.
Okay.
All right. So he started out, he won the tag team championships. He had some great matches in the year, and then he's had a great storyline with the build to the cleaner, and then he just he's now finishing off the year as the belt collector. Yes, Jon Moxley, you could definitely make a case. He deserves to be male superstar of the year, and definitely Drew McIntyre. But with what they've done with Kenny Omega all year, going from like the tag teams, the storyline with Hangman, and then going into the title eliminator tournament where he started turning into the cleaner, to basically where he is now full cleaner and where he's going. I think you have to recognize this man as having a great 2020 and being male superstar of the year.
I could see Kenny Omega being the 2021 superstar of the year. For the reason being is I feel like the brunt of his greatness came towards the latter part of the year with the full-on cleaner switch. The beginning with him and Hangman, great stuff at the beginning of the year. His match with Pac, damn near match of the year.
Right.
He's always been the guy with the 6-star ability, 6-star match ability, the storytelling ability. But I think his year is next year when we see the fruition of this belt collector. Where does he go from it? I'm not going to argue too much on it with him being it on this year because, I mean, hell, the man is also the AAA Mega Champion right now, which he defended against Laredo Kid in a great match. The last few weeks, he's changed the industry and flipped it on its head again, something that AEW has already done. Kenny Omega went and did it again with Don Callis. So, yeah, I'm not going to fight that. That's a good pick. It's a real good pick.
All right. We got a few more here, and then we'll head home for the night because Dennis is getting tired.
Better wake you.
I'm good.
All right. Our second to last category, female wrestler of the year. Sleepy Dennis, lead us off.
Not sleepy. I'm just resting my eyes. So my dad always used to say that he'd fall asleep on the couch and my mom would be like, "Go to bed," or whatever. He's like, "All right, wake up." He's like, "I'm not sleeping. I'm just resting." So this one here again had two women in the discussion, but once I kind of sat down and broke it down, it was pretty clear cut who my pick was going to be. I believe she's only lost one time this whole year, maybe twice. I want to say at most.
I like where you're going.
And to me, she's been on fire, and I mean, I think she's been head and shoulders above all the rest of the women in her respective company's division, and maybe head and shoulders above all women, every single women's wrestler out there. For me, my pick for female wrestler of the year is the current AEW women's champion. That would be Hikaru Shida.
Wow, swerved me at the end.
Yeah.
Who do you think I was going to go with?
Mine. I'll tell you my pick in a minute.
All right.
Good one.
Go ahead.
Wow. So everything that DDJ literally just said about his women's wrestler of the year, female wrestler of the year, is exactly what I could say about mine as well. And I had to go in and check all my personal biases on this one because you know me, I'm a mark for a couple of ladies. I kind of came on here and convinced you all of why Tay Conti is the best in the world, but I'm not. My pick has also, I believe, not lost in singles competition all year. And I think when she has lost, it was either in tag team or multiple person matches. She's looked very strong. And to me, I feel like she is on a show that she doesn't deserve to be. I believe she does need to start getting the rub onto the main roster sooner rather than later. my pick for female wrestler of the year is Io Shirai.
Ooh. Real quick, before Spencer goes in, my other consideration, and the only reason why I didn't go with this person was because of the fact that she hasn't wrestled in quite a long time, because I think this is a moment that really, I think, should be noted. I was actually originally considering going with Tessa Blanchard because of, her winning the Impact World Heavyweight Championship. But had that not gone down the way it did, and basically she hasn't been seen, or she's stuck and stuff, for the better part of the year, I think I probably would have went with her. But because of the circumstances kind of being what they were, and the circumstances of her exit of Impact, it made the decision a lot easier for me, and that's why I went with Sheeta over Tessa Blanchard.
Yeah.
All right. So Sheeta. Definitely a good pick. Io Shirai was my second pick.
Ooh.
And I was thinking about her, and I was like, wow, Io's had a great 2020. But I think this woman has had just a slightly better 2020. And I'm going to go with the boss, Sasha Banks.
Oh,
it's boss time.
Anna Jay, I was about to walk off the set.
Oh, okay. Actually, it's Anna Jay. I'm joking.
I'm done.
Well, okay. Thank you for joining the Junkyard. So yeah, Sasha. She has come back. She held the women's tag team championships with Bayley. They had a somewhat good feud. They had a good match at Hell in a Cell. But she's been constantly putting on great matches the entire year. Then she finally won the title at Hell in a Cell, the SmackDown Women's Championship. And she has successfully defended that title. Now she broke the curse of not being able to defend the title. So honorable mention to that part of her 2020. Yep. But she has definitely been help carry SmackDown along with Bayley, and Bayley was in consideration, but I think with what Sasha has been doing, I give her the nod over Bayley, and she is my female superstar of the year.
There you go.
All good picks again, guys.
Absolutely. All right.
A lot of good women this year.
Definitely
had a great year.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're gonna bring it on home, and our last category in the 2020 Junkies match of the year. Jovan, give me your match.
Fellas. In a year that has seen multiple matches that could have honestly been match of the year, I went back and forth and I watched 3 matches at least twice today.
Okay.
Trying to come down to my decision. And once we all go, if all 3 of them are not named, I'll toss out there what the honorable mentions are because I don't want to steal anyone's. So for me, this one was quite easy. To me, match of the year has to be hands down the best in-ring performance, the best in-ring storytelling of the year. And this match had that. And I do say that this match may not only be match of the year, it may be the best match of its type of all time.
Ooh.
And this match is a tag team match. So this may be the best tag team match of all time.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the Young Bucks versus Kenny Omega and Hangman Page.
Okay, so I too have an honorable mention that I won't list just in case. I don't think Spencer's going to name this one, but I don't want to steal his thunder just in case. But this was one that I really went back and forth on. And I mean, I think I said this to you guys in a previous, episode of the Junkyard. Again, I know this is probably going to drive Spencer crazy, but I was there to see this live.
Oh, Lord.
I consider this to be the greatest match I've ever seen live. And I was actually at WrestleMania 13 when Brett and Austin had their infamous I Quit match and had the
I remember when Brett Favre won that match.
Did you just say Brett Favre?
You said Favre. You said Favre before Hart.
Oh, damn it. I meant Bret Hart. But anyways, I was there to see Bret Hart. At least I didn't say Brett Favre. Like
Favre.
Yeah. But I mean, to me, it had the emotional high. It took you on an emotional roller coaster, which is, in my opinion, what every match needs to do. You need to experience the highest of highs and the lowest of the lows.
Yes.
Yep.
And that, yeah, I'm gonna go with Jovanni on this, and I got to say, my pick for match of the year. Again, this was after a little bit of a back and forth, and I think you'll understand why when I explain this other match here. But I have to go with the Young Bucks versus Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, because my God, that is, like I said, greatest match I've ever seen live.
Yes.
Wow. All right, gentlemen, we are not going to agree here. I'm joking. It's a 3-on-3. I'm going with the Young Bucks versus Kenny and Hangman. We go out on a high note. How can that not be match of the year? That match was fantastic. 6 stars, going to be talked about for all time. Go ahead, talk about your honorable mentions now.
Hey, real quick before Jovanni, we go into our honorable mentions. You mentioned 3-on-3. We're still the 3-on-3 trivia champions.
Oh. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what we like to call a segue.
Yes.
Right.
So I had to get that in there.
You know what? While we're getting things in there, you know what I'm going to throw out and what I'm going to get in there before we give honorable mentions? If they've stuck around and listened to us talk this long about the 2020 year in review, you know what they deserve? I got to give the people what they want. How about a junkie mention?
Oh.
Whoa.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and before we throw out our backup picks for match of the year, man, I want to give a shout out to one junkie who is a good listener of ours, man, and we love all y'all that listen. Please interact with us. Drop us a review, Pro Wrestling Junkies on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Find us there for the Junkyard, of course. You'll see our episodes.
Mm-hmm.
The review.
Along with my podcast.
Along with the DDJ, what do you say with DDJ that drops every Monday right here on the PWJ Pod Squad Cheap Pop? Okay.
You stole all the thunder there.
Just give us a review, 5-star it, let us know. See us posting in the Facebook page, Pro Wrestling Junkies, guys. Jump on there. Tell us what you thought of the episode. What were your top picks? What did you like? What was a good segment that you enjoyed of this episode?
Right.
And we might put you in our future episodes, man, like I'm going to do right now for one Mr. Doug Martin. Doug, shout out, brother. I know you are always quick to kind of tell us what you think. And Doug's like, oh, I'm listening to it on the way to work, or this was real good, guys. I like the chemistry. You know what, man? For that, we don't do it for The Rock. We don't do it for everybody. For this 1 second, Doug Martin, we did it for Doug.
All right. Just real quick before we go into that, I don't want to single out one person because there are a lot of, people out there. I'm just going to just say simple thank you to everybody who listens to this show, because hearing the feedback from people like Doug, from people like hearing the feedback from, Justin and Ari Wilson and, everybody else that has messaged us privately, or,
even you, Hector.
Even you, Hector. Hector, you finally got your mention on the Junkyard, so please leave us alone now.
We love you, Hector.
No, Hector does a lot of great work for the Pro Wrestling Junkies and stuff.
Absolutely.
But just real quick, it's really cool to be doing something like this with you two guys, and to actually have people that are fans of what we do. It's honestly cool to say, hey, I have fans.
Thinks we're all right.
So yes, but just a real, just shout out to everybody who's, even if you've only listened to 2 minutes of one podcast, just taking the time to listen to what we do, because this is something I'm sure you two would echo my sentiments on. This is something I'm super passionate about. This is something I look forward to doing to every week and everything. And that, so I just, again, thank you to everybody thank you to all of our diehard fans and just our friends. So, Spencer, any things you want to do before we get into our honorable mentions and before we call it a night?
Yeah, you guys said it great. Thank you to everybody who has listened, who's went out of their way to write a review, from Justin to Doug, to Dallas Branham, my buddy Stu. Thank you, everybody, for just taking the time to listen to us. We greatly appreciate it.
Mr. left a review.
Yeah, Aaron, too. Thank you, man. We really appreciate that. But before these guys give their honorable mentions, I want to say something. So we haven't had merch yet, and we don't have any for the Junkyard yet. But if you go to prowrestlingtees.com/prowrestlingjunkies, we now have 3 shirts representing PWJ. So make sure you guys go pick one of those up to support us. And if enough of those sell, we'll get some more designs up on the site. And pretty soon, coming hopefully early 2021, we'll get some designs for you guys to rep the Junkyard. So,
and also, what do you say with DDJ?
And such good shoot.
And such good shoot. But guys, go look at these PWJ shirts, man. You've got the PWJ logo with the positive wrestling community. Let everybody know, man. We're 5.4K strong right now. And just our Facebook page, not to mention everything else that we're doing.
Right.
Show everybody. Go to your wrestling events. Wear a Pro Wrestling Junkies t-shirt. You might run into another junkie there. Take a photo.
Exactly. And if you do that, make sure you hashtag that junk selfie, and we'll feature you on an episode of the Junkyard.
Hell yeah. I can't tell you how many times I've been talking to these 2 gentlemen, and we were in the same show, and we never knew it.
Yeah.
Get that Pro Wrestling Junkies t-shirt. You'll be able to identify each other really easy.
Right. And when everything comes back to normal and all this COVID stuff and we're able to go to shows, we can definitely do meetups and everything. And you'll have a Pro Wrestling Junkie shirt and you'll know you were there for sure. Also, Jovan mentioned one shirt. I'll go ahead and mention the other 2 shirts. We got one. We have our virtual markouts. We got a shirt where it has a hand coming out of a computer screen. It says, I was on the virtual markout. So if you want to show that you participate in the virtual markout, especially the one that will have already happened by now, that was with the AEW World Champion Kenny Omega, get that shirt, show that you were on the virtual markout. And then also, guys, we're all about a positive wrestling community. Don't be a heel, be a babyface. We got that shirt up there on as well, so check all those out.
And if you do have to be a heel, be a good heel.
Like MJF.
Like MJF.
Great heel. Okay, gentlemen, take us home. Give us your honorable mentions for Match of the Year.
So for me, my honorable mention, we're going all the way back to basically the beginning of the year. Night 1 of Wrestle Kingdom.
Oh.
I am going with the first match to determine who would go on to face the winner of the Intercontinental Championship match to unify the belts on night 2. I'm going with Kota Ibushi, who was the winner of the G1 at that year in 2019. Also won it this year. Lost the briefcase, but is still getting a shot here in a couple weeks. Kota Ibushi versus Okada for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, the main event of night 1 of Wrestle Kingdom. Again, if the Bucks versus Hangman Page and Omega didn't happen, or even if I wasn't there to have that first hand experience of watching that match live, I may have went with this match. So, I mean, for me, my honorable mention, Ibushi versus Okada from night 1 of Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, that was one of my honorable mentions, man. That was a hell of a match. If you guys have NJPW World, go watch that again.
Right.
2 technicians, man, and Okada, of course, is the gold standard. Junkyard friend of the Junkyard in one of our first interviews, Mr. Tamatanga, said how he thinks Okada is the best wrestler in the world. Matches like that against Kota Ibushi leaves no doubt in your mind that Okada is one of the best wrestlers, period.
Yeah.
Right.
Please go seek that out.
Yes.
I think I had one more match for Match of the Year. And normally I don't like to throw random matches or matches that kind of feel like they really didn't lead anywhere. Non-title matches. Let's put it that way. I don't normally like to use non-title matches or, was it a title match? Anyway, honorable mention. Please go watch this if you haven't, because I know Spencer finally did. Go watch Walter versus how do you say his last name? Did you
Ilya Dragunov?
Dragunov.
Oh, yeah.
Versus Dragunov.
That was a title match.
That was a title match.
It was, yeah.
That was actually one
UK title.
That would been in my top 5 for the year. But yeah, oh my God.
Yeah. If if you're into the hard style, the strong style like they have in Japan, Walter is about as stiff and strong as you get. And he's friends with Dragunov, and everybody knows when you're friends with somebody in the ring, you're going to take their best and their hardest. And God bless him, he got beat like a government mule. And that was definitely a match of the year contender right there.
All right. Yeah, that definitely is a very hard-hitting match. Your chest is going to be sore by the time you get done watching it. Definitely go see that match, NXT UK. I think it was like the second or third week they came back, right?
Yep.
It was very early on in the relaunch of NXT UK.
Right.
They came back with a bang.
Yep.
Bang. All right. I want to give one honorable mention. Not to... It is a match, but it's more a cinematic match, and something that really kick-started the year with the cinematic matches. I got to give a shout-out to the Boneyard match with AJ Styles and Undertaker. That was I think that was Undertaker's last match, wasn't it?
It's
for right now.
Did I hear you right? I heard the Boneyard match.
No, the Boneyard match.
You were doing the worst of.
Oh, okay, the Boneyard match.
Yes,
okay.
not the Boneyard match. But
it wasn't in the Boneyard.
At least he didn't say eye for eye.
That's true.
Oh God, nobody wants to watch that one. But yeah, just a shout out to that one. Undertaker was able to go out on top and was able to work with one of the greatest performers today in AJ Styles, and with Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows before that. They unfortunately got fired from the WWE, but are killing it now. But yeah, definitely go check that one out for sure too. But that's all I had. Any other matches?
Real quick, finish. A little bit of a thing here. All right, so obviously we just did our year in review show.
We did.
Let's play. Let's have a little fun, and let's call our shots or make a bold prediction for 2021.
All right.
Something that we think, like we each get one pick.
Okay.
Be good. So I'm looking into my crystal ball and I'm predicting the future, something that I expect to happen in 2021.
Okay.
A little bit of a caveat, and I said this fairly recently, I think you guys know where I'm going with this.
Mm-hmm.
My bold prediction for 2021 is, provided the Undisputed Era does not get called up to either Raw or SmackDown, Kyle O'Reilly will be the NXT champion at some point next year.
Nice. Spencer, I'll let you go because I want to close out.
Oh, God. I was hoping you would go because I'm still kind of thinking. All right. Let's see. My bold prediction for 2021. All right. So if we're just going out on a loop, just shooting the shot, going for it.
You're going to ask Anna Jay out on a date?
Bold.
Well, hold on. Let me find the abs that are under all this layer of fat I have here.
Hey, they're there, bro. Everybody's got them. You just have to unhide them.
That's right.
He's got that six-pack hiding in that keg.
Oh, no. It's like a 24-pack or 30-pack, let's be honest. Yeah. But, yeah, screw it. Let's just go for it. Anna Jay's going to be AEW World Champion next year. Or Women's Champion.
World Champion. Wow, that's really bold.
AEW Women's Champion. I know that's probably not going to happen, but bold predictions. Let's go for it.
He's not beating Kenny Omega.
Another bold. If you want, here, I'll give a real bold prediction because that's probably not going to happen. Kenny Omega and here's my real bold prediction. That was a joke one. I just thought about it. AEW and New Japan will work together next year.
Ooh. I like that one too.
All right. All of our junkyard faithful, get ready to pop in your cars and please be careful. Do not wreck.
Pull on over real quick.
Yes.
Please be safe. Pull over.
Absolutely.
My bold prediction for 2021. Protection. Always
use protection.
Use protection.
Is this episode sponsored by Blue Chew?
One day, gentlemen. Now, bold prediction for 2021. Chicago's favorite son, Charles Manfred Punk will sign with AEW.
Oh,
Wow.
Now,
I thought I was reaching out there, man, but you guys really went out there.
hey, it's called bold predictions, man. Your thing is
you're
definitely
great. I
happening.
love them. I thought mine's pretty tame compared to you two.
I will say that there was a recent tweet from one CM Punk that said, I don't want to get anybody, stirred up, but I have been talking to Tony Khan lately. So if you follow him, he's always said in any interview, it's not really, money is not going to get him alone. He needs a good story. He needs people to work with.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't really see much people in the WWE that he wants to work with, but AEW is brand new. TK has the money, so we may see him.
Mm-hmm. And
Spencer, you don't get to change your pick again.
No. This is not a changing of the pick. This actually, if my thing happens and Tony Khan knows this and he's getting in touch with CM Punk now and tells him, because he said in his interview with Renee on Oral Sessions, go check that out, it's really good. He said what would bring him back is a good storyline. Yes, it would be money and everything, but what would really bring him back is a good storyline.
Mm-hmm.
You don't tell me he would not want to be a part of AEW versus New Japan versus Impact, this whole belt collector thing. Do not tell me he would not want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
It definitely would be intriguing.
So our picks, me and Jovan could work together, and then DDJ's got his Kyle O'Reilly winning the title thing.
Yeah, he took it for sure.
You suck. You know that? You get all upset about Giovanni's pick, and then you just brushed mine off.
He buried yours.
You know what? I'm going to change my pick for heel of the year to Spencer.
Join the Dark Order, bitch. All right.
On that note,
I think that's the perfect way to end this one, guys. For myself, number 11, Spencer Cantor. I have my co-host, DDJ, host of What Do You Say with DDJ. That does come out every Monday on the Pro Wrestling Junkies Pod Squad and on YouTube on Wednesdays. For Jovanni, Too Hotty, El Guapo, Too Hotty, this has been another edition of The Junkyard. Make sure you guys follow us on PW_Junkies at Twitter, at Facebook, at Instagram. And also go check out our Pro Wrestling Tees store that we just launched. Look up Pro Wrestling Junkies on Pro Wrestling Tees. And just a little note here, when you're looking up Apple Podcast or Spotify, don't look for The Junkyard or What Do You Say with DDJ. Look up Pro Wrestling Junkies. We now have like a new network where everything is listed there. So make sure you guys check that out. But thank you for joining us for episode 9 of The Junkyard, The Junkies. It's been a hell of a 2020. Hopefully 2021 will be much better. So thank you, and Junkies out.